All right, guys, welcome and thank you for having us on the Thursday night training. This is an honor to be on here. I love every week the insight. John Wetmore, the past few weeks, your interviews have been phenomenal. Marco, you killed it last week. I think it was Liz before that. And just a lot of great insight with new agents, agents who've been around a little bit. And this week, I wanted to take some time and interview a couple of new agents that are with us here in California. And Pim has never just got his license, okay? And Evan had his license previously, messed around a little bit at a totally different deal, similar but different when you're talking about the result you can get out of it. And I'll let him talk about some of the things because he actually worked there and saw the opportunity in the space, but not so much where he was at. Is that fair to say, Evan?
Yes, that is.
Okay. So we linked up, and he's been in the field now, I want to say not even 2 weeks, and Pim about the same. And really what I love about this is how raw both of them are. Okay. And I know you hear some trainings and you're probably like, wow, they're just very well spoken, or they're just very, just they've been doing it a while, and we start to think that, people are just born like that. People just know it. And coming in, I think Evan in his first week did about $8,000 submitted. Okay. And which turned into, it all got paid too. It was approved, all America. And when I asked him, like, hey dude, like, what do you know about this? He's like, dude, I don't know. I just call in the home, and Pim, same thing. His first week out, $3,000, second week out, another $2-3 grand. And you're like, well, that's not 10, 15. I'm like, I know, but in a new business in your first 14 days, is it that too crazy to deposit 2, 3, 4, 5 grand? Like, I think that's a win. You know what I mean? But also the work that they're both putting in. Okay. So I want to start off with Evan. Okay. Evan, can you let us know a little bit about maybe your background, what stood out to you about Family First Life, and a little brief, 2-3 minutes of how this first, 10, 14 days has looked for you, and your vision coming into it, okay, and how that's changed or hasn't changed over the past 2 weeks.
Sure, yeah. Thanks, Dom, for taking the time to put this together. I appreciate it. So my background, I live in California, currently an area sales manager of a big corporation. I have been ever since out of college. So I do lead people on a daily basis. I do help coach people on a daily basis through various things, but it's a lot different than this. It's guided. It's more structured, and it's not as real. So I do have that experience. I do have a speech impediment myself. I've stuttered my whole life. I've been in sales my whole life. When I was younger, 18, 19 years old, I knocked doors selling alarms, just intentionally to get over the fear of speaking. So I stutter, sometimes more than others. But it's just it's just me. It makes me me. And knocking doors 2-3 years out of high school, kind of, all over this great nation, in random cities and random states, sleeping in random places and hotels for the summer. It really kind of made me who I am, I'd say. But that's kind of me. I do hold an MBA, which was a big waste of money, in my opinion, for me. Wish I had that money back, quite honestly. The only thing to really account for it is those guys behind the wall and maybe a corporate leadership gig, but that's about it. In between, so just to that's kind of my background. That's me. You always know where you stand with me at all times. Or you get what you get kind of guy. I like Dom did mention previously, back in 2016, I was laid off. I was a director at Solar City, a sales director at Solar City. I was laid off because they went out of business. I'm sure everybody knows about that whole story. And so I had to press reset. Where can I make the kind of money still provide for my family? I had a couple mortgages, I had a couple rental homes, so I had to figure out, how to keep all that going. And I'm like, well, I don't care about talking to people. I love talking to people. I've been in the home before selling alarms. I'm like, you know what? I coach people. I tell people every day how to sell. So I better put my big boy pants on and do it myself. And I did. So I got my license back in 2016, my life and health. I also have my property and casualty because I stopped there. So I kept going, but and I teamed up with I started Google searching insurance, money, work from home, all that stuff. And I teamed up with a company.
Just another company. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's different. It was short term for me. Leadership was a little different, but nonetheless, I didn't make as much money. I came in a lot that they got me in a lot lower, like at 50 or 60%. And I didn't know any better, but I was grinding, but it just kind of felt a little funky. Not the products, but just the whole structure of the company itself for me. That's just my experience. So the team that I joined, he folded up and disappeared. I had no idea what happened to him. And so I kind of took that as an easy way out and said, okay, well, I've been applying for jobs on the side and I got myself back into it. So I joined back corporate America again. Fast forward, here I am. I'm still in corporate America. But with this whole COVID-19 thing, our corporation has all managers working 3 days a week. So we're furloughed 2 days a week for the next, it just got extended another 5 weeks. So I'm like, man, Evan, get out of your own way. Let's go make some money. I have that entrepreneurial spirit I always have. I have a couple I have a couple things I do. I'm like, why not just go back and do it? And so I did that research again. I did that whole job search again, and I teamed up with Dom, and I kind of sat on the sidelines for a couple months, and he's like, "Hey, you ready?" I'm like, "No, not yet." And then when the COVID-19 thing said, "Yep, I'm ready," and I called him back, and I told my wife I'm going all in. I'm working 7 days a week, three with my company, 3 here. Let's see what happens. And I just came with no expectations. I had to make money, and I wanted to feel this out. So if and when my company decides to say, "See you later," you're another number on the checkboard, which yesterday I did have to separate one of my sales reps, which I've never done before.
Right.
It became real to me. It's like, hey, I have options, and I have a skill set, and really not even a skill set. I just have a desire. I have a desire just to win. I'm a stuttering guy who got C's in high school. I got B's in college because I dated somebody who helped me do my papers. I was serious about my MBA, but that came later in life after family. But yeah, I just want to win, and I like having fun. And this team is fun. And if I ever decide to ever quit, I expect Dom to drive up to my house in Fresno and wring my neck, because this is too good to pass up. All you got to do is get up and go, and get out of your own way on the phones. Like I caught myself today on the phones, like, oh, leads aren't coming in fast enough, and I'll just go mess around outside. I'm like, nope. I got back to the computer. 4 more popped in. Set 2 more appointments. I mean, it's just the adrenaline. So you just got to be focused, and I love it. I absolutely love it.
Hey, Evan, we were talking the other day, and you said, I asked you, I said, hey, dude, coming into this thing, obviously you don't know all the products, carriers, and all that type of stuff. What kind of had you just go get it? Like, you got on the phone day one, and I don't know if I've seen this before. You got on the phone, I want to say 11 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And then you had your first appointment that same day.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Now, what do you think it is that stops people from taking that type of initiative?
Not having the correct why, quite honestly. In my opinion, you always remember your first client, and mine's right here.
Yep.
And yes, I'm drinking wine, and his name is Tim Weingarten. That's his name, Tim Weingarten. It's great. I love it.
I did not know that. All right, that is great.
Yeah, that's his name. Yeah, $1,600 later. That was great. But to answer your question more specifically, I just knew that I had to for my family. Like, I had to get out of my own way. I mean, if I had any type of reservations in my mind, if I was telling myself lies in my mind, I had to remove those, man. I had to, because I got to eat.
Right.
And I have certain things in my life that I've committed to that I got to keep going.
Right.
And the only person who's going to do it is myself. No one else is going to do it for me. And I want to keep the current lifestyle I have, and I want to increase it. And eventually I want to help other people do the same. And I'm seeing that here very clearly, that this is obtainable for anybody, any walk of life. I don't care what you look like. I mean, look at me. I'm a stuttering Armenian. I mean, this is beautiful stuff. Just get out of your way, man. That's all it is.
Hey, dude, I laugh all the time. I look around, I go like, are you kidding me? Like, are we having this type of result going out there and just shooting the stuff with people?
That's all it is.
And that's all we do. What are some of the biggest things? Because you're at another place, insurance. They have training and support. Okay.
Yeah.
What are the biggest differences you've seen with Family First Life training and support versus, say, your first 2 weeks at your other experience?
Yeah. So my other experience, it was more homegrown. Like, it was like a meeting like in a back alley, kind of like a small little suite that was popped up. So it was a little weird. The person that kind of recruited me, I don't really trust him. I mean, he just wasn't the real guy, quite honestly. And he was kind of running just a weird experience, and it didn't feel comfortable for me. It felt really unnatural. There was no online video recording training. There was nothing like that. I had to depend on him and him only. So it was that one style and that one style only. Here, I'm able to tap. I mean, if I don't like what you say, I just go listen to somebody else who's really successful. Right. Or somebody else who's really successful, or one of the 5,000 other people. I didn't have that support, so I got discouraged really fast, and plus I didn't make as much money, and I wrote some big policies, I remember, and they're actually all still in effect, because I remember a year later I kept getting little
back end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's really it. I mean, there's more to plug into here, Dom. Like, there's more to plug into. I mean, granted, you're not going to force us to. We still have to get out of our own way and do it.
Right.
But that's where you go back to your why, right? So it's here. I mean, I've done research even before I called you. I looked at other IMOs, and I talked to all them, and they rushed you quick into a contract, and they made their rate sheets. Hey, here's our product. There's 3 of them. It's very simple. Here's an A, B, and a C. The C is graded. The client has to fit in this box. If they do, cool, and you get paid this. We'll start you out at this. I said, okay, but what if they don't fit into that? Well, they usually do. Don't worry. Blah 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 blah. I'm like, I'm not extremely smart, but I'm not extremely stupid either. Somebody's not going to fit into these 3 boxes. So that's why I love just the variation and the variety of carriers. But really, I don't use a lot of carriers even here, quite honestly, because the 2 carriers I use pretty much fit all my needs currently right now. And as I expand my business, I'll look at other carriers, but I don't want to complicate things. I don't want to make it hard on myself. I mean, pretty simple stuff. I just pick, I just do what I'm doing. I don't overthink it. I know when I overthink things, things start going sideways. So I just keep it simple. And
that kind of leads me to, going into with Pim and both of you guys, the earlier people call in the home, the better. You call in the home, okay? You understand that you're good with people, right? But there's information that can help you validate who you are out there, okay? Yep. And one thing I've seen with both of you guys is your willingness to ask for help, okay? And your willingness to take direction and not be, oh, well, you don't think I'm smart enough. Like, Evan, I'm pretty sure you're really smart. You're really good at acting like you're not too smart, but usually the smartest people are good at acting dumb. So you are very intelligent, and same with Pim. Like, Pim, you know like 3 languages, dude. There's no confusion that you're intelligent, okay? But you don't take the corrections as a defamation of your intellect. Does that make sense? And it's like, and when you get that, and you realize how simple this is, but also it is a little intricate to where there's little nuances there, but you're really going to find out who you are in the home. And I think the more you call, the more you get perspective, the more you figure out who you are, not so much how to overcome that specific objection. Because the way I overcome an objection may be different than you, but the uncomfortability that comes with that, we feel exactly the same. Okay. And I think that's huge, huge stuff. So I want to say thank you, dude, for hopping on, and thank you for sharing and letting us know, that if your why is big enough, dude, nothing else matters. Don't matter if you got paper apps, e-apps, if you got to write it on a napkin, you'll figure it out. Mike Schroeds went out and wrote his first policies on napkins, dude. He goes, I didn't have apps, so I just had him sign a napkin. Dude, none of those policies stayed on the books, but he was out there. Does that make sense? Yeah. He was out there. I'm just like, dude, go out, go make a mistake, So Pim, you are, where are you from originally, Pim?
All right. Born and raised in Holland, Europe. Okay. Yeah, I moved here about 12 years ago to marry my lovely wife. And after that, I pretty much started out in car detailing business. And then from there on, I moved over to the restaurant business, where I became a manager. And I've been doing that for 8 years. And at the same time, I started my real estate career. So I was doing that, just going left and right between those two. And that was a lot of fun. But I always wanted something more. Just wanted to do more. And then I've been looking around a lot for something like this. I studied insurance back home. It's a different type of thing. It's a different culture, different insurances. So when I got here and I saw that, I'm like, oh, you know what? Like that sounds really interesting. I took the test, and then I was still hesitant to just jump into it because you work a lot. Like I was always working 6 days a week at least, and the time that I had left, I was spend it on myself. So just to pick something else up next to that was pretty tough. And then COVID came around, and the restaurant closed. And I was like, it's still COVID. You can't really go out there. And then I had a good talk with my wife, and she was like, no, it's an essential job. You just let's do it already. Just go out there. So after being a week on the couch, I was like, okay, let's do it. And no regrets, just the opposite. Very glad I jumped on it. It's great.
I love it, man. So you've been with us now. I want to say this is your second week in the field. You just finished up your second week?
Yeah, I just finished up second week, pretty much. Yeah, second and a half. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm recording a call. Not now. All right. So you figure when your door's closed, people just don't come in.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like nobody's dying. Like nobody's about to die.
You would
So
say,
you all know. All right. Like nobody's dying in here. It's a passing, whatever. Now I'm taking it. So you just got your license with us. We're kind of sitting back. We're looking at going part-time, but the time that was there wasn't there. And now with this COVID-19, you have the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that your wife said, hey, go out there and get it. You know what I mean? Like that just, I don't know your wife, I've never, but I love that. Like that just shows, you know, it's like my wife. My wife's like, yeah, go up. Like, I was like, yeah, I got 100 leads up in Sacramento. She's like, you're going to go up there, right? I was like, yeah, but you're 8 months pregnant with a 2-year-old. She goes, you can make 30 grand. Why don't you just go up there and do that? I was like, all right, I love you. I love you. Like, I'm out. Here, I'll get the plane ticket right now. So if that, like, Pim, with what you're doing out there in the field, and I know we got Cody on, I would love for him to share what he's been seeing, because Cody James is out of Georgia, and he's been helping us a lot. He wants to build his agency. He's hiring like crazy. He wants to learn how to manage and build people. And what better way to do that? But then I thought, let's just work together, use the resources we got, help the agents that we got out, and in return, you learn a ton and get to hire a ton at the same time. You know, so what he's been taking calls in the home. He's really been my right-hand man with bringing agents on and figuring out, you know, who to work with, and not say who not to work with, but who to work with. And he's been very pivotal in that. Pim, you call in the home, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Before you started, okay, how important is it to you that you can call in the home?
It's huge. It's phenomenal. It provides an opportunity for somebody that doesn't know much to nothing to be able to get out there and actually get something done. You're basically, when you're sitting there down there and they have certain questions about any policy or premiums or this, or, you know, like medications that they're taking, you're trying to see which company they might fit with, and you have no idea. You have no idea which direction to put them in, and all you have to do is pick up that phone, and that's it. You pick up the phone, and then you get help, and you'll be guided. You'll be guided. You learn. So right then and there, you learn. You learn new ways. Just a lot of knowledge.
What's one of the biggest? Well, first off, what has your results been? So 2 weeks in, how much have you made in deposits, Pim?
And deposits, of course, there's still some in the pipeline, but yeah, of course, like I'm around 5,000 right now.
5,000,
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks.
Yeah,
ain't nothing wrong with that. All right.
No.
There's folks who don't do $5 grand their first month, and they never call them home, dude.
Mm-hmm.
They never call. They go, well, what could you do there? Like, you couldn't. I mean, they told me they didn't want to think about it. They told me this. What could you have done? I don't know. Maybe help you overcome it. I don't know. And what are some of the things, Pim, that you're learning a ton right now?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Like, I think you two are off to a great start, but 2 different tracks. Okay, meaning Evan was in sales. Okay, Evan was in sales. He understands who he is in this space. He has to define it a little bit more, but I think you have 0 clue who you are in this space, like me when I started. I have no clue. I was like, where do I fall in here? How do I push? What is my strengths and weaknesses? Where Evan has been able to, whether you're in insurance or not, you're in sales, you know what your strengths are. You know what your weaknesses are. Does that make sense? But with you're trying to figure that out. Does that make sense? And while you're figuring it out, you made $5 grand. You know what I mean? So what is some of your biggest hurdles right now in the home?
My biggest hurdles is trying to figure out the why, because, you know, they fill something out, and you get that information, and that shows that they need help. They're reaching out for help, and you're the one to give them the help. And the hurdle is trying to figure out how and why they need your help, because Once you're in there, it feels like some people get defensive, or they don't want to tell you the reason exactly why you're there. They just want to shield themselves off, and you got to figure out really like why they need your help. That's pretty much your job, and then provide that help for them. So the hurdle, that's.
Can you give us some scenarios that you ran through maybe this past week that maybe, and I know we talk about, you probably talk to Cody, myself. What's what I love about you is like, he'll talk to me, get a perspective, call Cody, get another perspective. Does that make sense? And like, and I love it. You never stop, right? You never just go, that's the way. Does that make sense? Like, I didn't learn everything from Sean Mike. You know what I mean? He told me a way, and I would go, all right, which way you do it? Oh, you kind of do it the same way? Oh, wow. You know. And when you hear the same thing twice, it messes you up. You're like, oh, wow. Yeah, he said the same thing. You know what I mean? So what give us some things that you learned this week that going into next week, you're going to handle differently.
For example, like objections, that's what you mean?
Yeah. Real scenarios that you had this past week.
Okay, so yesterday I had a scenario that was not the first time that I had that. I had that the week before too, and I'm like, I didn't understand because the pretty much what it came down to is this. So it's these people that really need a policy. So they have like heart problems, they have stents in their veins, they had heart attacks, and in the beginning, they tell me they can pretty much afford a policy around $60-70. And by the end, you tell them what a policy can run for. You run through everything, and then they'll back out and they're like, no, you know what? No, I won't be able to do it. I won't be able to afford it, even if it's within their budget, and they really, really need it. So they jump on more like, oh yeah, I just feel like I'm going to be saving that money. And then just, in 10 years, 15 years, I'll have that money just in case. But what it really comes down to is, in the first place, I'm there because you were not a saver. So what you need is insurance. You don't need to be saving for 15 years. You need insurance right now because you're not a saver.
So now Pim, that's the correct way to do it. Now, when they said that, okay, it's like Pim's at this level right now to where it's like, imagine that this is a line of uncomfortability. Okay, this is Pim. Pim gets here, it starts to get uncomfortable, but then he goes, uh-oh, right? Now, on the way there, you can make some money, all right, which is the $5,000. Right? On the way there, that's $5,000. Over here, you bust through that uncomfortability. Now you're at $10,000. See, what we have got to say when they go, hey, I can just save that, Pim. You go, hey, Pim, with all due respect, you're 67, and if you were much of a saver, I wouldn't be here right now. So let's not do that, okay? Because if you save $30 and you die in 2 months, how much is it worth, Pim? They go $60. I have them say it. I ask questions when I'm trying to prove a point. I don't speak at people. Does that make sense? And that was a big mistake that I made, was I would tell people what to think versus asking them questions and let them answer it. And next thing I'm like, hell, I'm like, all right, cool. So I know you're not going to save. All right. Now, if $32 is too much, we can lower it down to $1 a day, man. Like, are you serious? See, that's getting uncomfortable. That's not being pushy. See, because when you get in the car, Pim, you think exactly everything that we're talking about. You think, man, like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why would they do that? They can't say that. Like, it's only $32. Like, does it make sense? Like, all of that is okay to say. And you're not doing it from a place of, you got to buy a policy. You're doing it from a place of, I understand, like, I know why I'm here. Like, this isn't an accident. So I think sometimes when we don't close, we think, well, that just was a bad one. Or that was just like, no, dude, they want it and they're going to buy insurance from somebody else, be clear. And I've seen it way too many times. People that I don't close, somebody else is going to go and close. For sure. It has nothing to do with it. It has everything to do with me. And Pam, did that client, you had a client that gave you a little whatever, like with the banking info. Did he ever call you back?
Nope.
There you go. All right. Now, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news that day, but I was like, oh, I don't know if that's ever going to work. Now, what you could, like, you know, now in that same position, you could have just pushed to get it done. Because I just know if you got one shot when you're in the home. One shot. I had somebody the other day go, hey, that person texted me back and gave me their banking information from a couple of weeks ago. And I was like, sweet, how much did you write in between then? They were like, oh, like one policy. And I'm like, gosh, like, is it worth, like, is that worth that one person getting back to you 2 weeks worth waiting 2 weeks? Not at all. Does that make sense? So you got one opportunity when you're in the home, and that line of uncomfortability, you gotta push through it. And everybody's line is different. Somebody's might be a little bit closer to here, some people's may be over here, but over here is where the money is. Okay, that's where it is. If you're looking at, you want to pay your bills, you can keep going here. You're gonna have to work really hard, but you'll be here. All right. You want to get ahead, push through it. Cody, you muted, dude? Gotcha. So here in PIM, all right, you know Evan, you've seen what they've been doing. Can you kind of talk about what you're getting out of this new role and what you're seeing and how it's benefiting the agents you're working with, but the agents that you have coming on and you as a business owner?
Scared to call in the house. Tim has called me several times. Evan has called me several times, several different questions. Me and Tim actually talked yesterday about that situation. And I kind of went over, some of the same stuff you said to him about, getting uncomfortable and letting them know, obviously they're not savers. So, that's why he's there. And just kind of gave him a couple other, little aspects and ways he could approach it, other than that, to give him some insight in the house. And he called me, I think it was yesterday, you called me with one of them, and one of the clients had COPD. So I told him which way to go with it and why to go that way, not just hey, write this policy. I told him why, to make sure that he understood and starts learning from why we're telling them what we're telling them. Right. Instead of just, him calling, hey, this is what's going on, what do I need to do, write this, and then get off the phone. So I feel like that helps a lot of people. It fast tracks them on learning, especially not with the underwriting part of it. And I'm learning a lot too. I'm learning how to deal with different people, different backgrounds and everything else, and it's really helping me. And it's definitely helping me to learn how to build a business, because I have several people right now who are just waiting to finish their class and go get go take the state exam. So it's definitely helping me see other aspects of it versus just worrying about just myself. And I love being able to help. It's awesome. And, like just the other night with Evan revving me up, about outright me and everything. That's just good competition. It drives you harder, I like it. I love it. Come on with it. But, it pumps you up, and especially when you have somebody, the day that Evan and Pimp, both of them, when they went out and wrote their first policy, what I do, I called you, I was pumped up, it was just awesome, especially when Pim called me. He's like, yeah, I just wrote a 187 on my first policy. The day after his first dial session, I was like, dude, that's awesome. How does that not pump you up? So I love it, man. I love everything we're doing right now. It's growing like crazy, and I'm excited and thankful to be a part of it. It's awesome.
What has it done? And thank you, man. What has it done for your personal production?
Oh, it's definitely driven mine up. Because for one thing, I can't be out there, writing $1,000 a week and expecting agents to call me and say, "Hey, how does this go?" They're like,
Yeah, I'm
"I'm
sure
not
Evan will
right."
call you out, dude. Be clear.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Put you on blast.
I love it.
BLAST.
So yeah, I mean, it drives you to do better. It drives you to get out there and work harder. Definitely drives you to write more business and help more families because just like I said, I mean, you can't be out there writing $1,000 a week thinking you're doing something and having agents calling asking you questions. It just doesn't work like
See, there's a big difference between having knowledge and having experience.
that. Mm-hmm.
And I don't have all the knowledge in the world, okay? But I tell you, I've experienced some things out there in the field.
Yep.
Okay. There's been a lot of weird situations that, that may have been weird 4 years ago, but today it just becomes normal.
Yep.
But I have to remember for PIM, it's going to look crazy weird. Does that make sense? And I can't ever forget that. And I think that's the big part of working with new agents that always reminds you and keeps you in check. Okay, that always lets you know it's about the basics. It's the fundamentals. Does that make sense? Because whenever you get too big for your britches, you start realizing, wow, like, why did they said no to that? Like, and you start trying to figure out all these sales things. And it's like, dude, it's right here. Does that make sense? Are you truly, truly putting other people first? And I think with you guys, you two and you three, man, your clients love you. You know what I mean? I think that's what this is about. They're not going, wow, Cody really enamored me with his life insurance intellect. They're going, dude, you see that dude came over here with that beard? You know what I mean? Like, he talked just like us, right? Like, you know what I mean? Just
That's
like,
right.
just like, whoa, like, dude, he was just straight shooting me. And like, dude, tell us that story and we'll close with this, okay? Tell us that story, because I'm gonna be honest with you, dude. A month ago, you wouldn't have wrote that policy. That's how fast this thing changes, you guys. Like,
Yeah,
and I think a little bit of all of this helped you
definitely.
just do that. So walk us through that appointment, because I think a lot of people, it blew my mind yesterday. I was like, holy smokes, that's
Are
good.
you talking about the one from Monday?
Yes, the one where the husband was just like adamant. Yeah.
I had a Facebook lead come through, and whoever filled it out just a couple days ago. So I called it Monday, and it's only 20 minutes from my house. I called it Monday, and I set a same day appointment. Well, whenever I first called him, he was like, "I don't know anything about it. I didn't do it, so on and so forth." I was like, "Okay, maybe your wife did." I was like, my job is just to bring it by, and I set the appointment. He said, "Come on by." So whenever I get there, he's actually not even there. He's gone to town, but his wife is there. And she starts talking to me about it, and she apparently didn't do it either. So we have no idea who filled out the lead, but I'm there. So get to talking to her, and she actually calls me inside. We get to talking a little more, and she lets me know that she doesn't have any life insurance in place. That her husband has always said he would just take care of it, but he's got some in place. He's got like 17,000. And she was like, "I know that's not going to be enough for him, but I don't think he'll get anything else because he's already been told it's a certain price." I was like, "All right, so that's fine, whatever." So I sit down and start pricing for both of them because she told me that she had 5 grandkids, that she wanted to make sure she left some money behind. And the way it was set up now, they don't have any money to leave behind if something happens to her. So I went through and I did pricing, and I did obviously top down pricing for both of them. And it was a really weird appointment because they were having family night, as a matter of fact, and everybody was coming over to eat. So all of a sudden, a large guy walks in, and it's her son. And he sits down at the table and was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Here this goes." So he's actually interested. And I start talking to him because he only has coverage through work. And 30 minutes later, I've done talked to him. He's wanting IULs on his 3 kids, wants me to get illustrations for them. And while I'm talking to him, I've still got the price sheet laying out right there. And the husband has come home by now, and he's like, "Oh, you're the guy that's supposed to be coming." I'm like, "Yes, sir, that's me, So he goes and gets in the shower. By this time, the whole family is there. I'm sitting there talking to the son, and the wife walks over and she points at 30,000. She says, "I want that one to come out of my checking account." I said, "Yes, ma'am. All I need is your checkbook and your driver's license." So she goes and gets it. Comes back, hands it in front of him. She said, "What else you need right now?" I said, "Nothing. Keep on fixing supper. I'll call you whenever when I need you." So I'm going through Eagle because I'd already got all the information, obviously, and going through Eagle Premier, and the husband walks out from the bedroom, and he's like, "What are you doing?" She said, "I'm getting life insurance." He said, "How much?" She said, "I'm sorry." She said 30,000. He said, "No, how much?" She said 175 a month. Now keep in mind, I'm literally typing her information in. And I just kind of looked up. He said, "No, you're not." I never stopped. She said, "I am." He said, "It's going to be canceled." She looked at him. She said, "I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry, but I'm getting it." And I look up, and everybody in the room is kind of like looking at me, laughing and giggling and stuff. And I kept on typing in, into my iPad her information. And a few minutes later, the husband finally comes over and sits down in front of me. He's like, "Well, she's not getting this. So do you do homeowners insurance and all that stuff?" I said, "Well, no, sir, but I know somebody who does, and I can point you in the right direction." He said, "Okay, well, I may do that because she's not getting this." I never even looked up. I just kept on typing. And I guess he kind of got the idea. He got up and got in his recliner over there, and I looked up. She said, "You need me for something?" I said, "Yes, ma'am. I need the final signature." And she come over there and she was looking at the price sheet and kept looking at it. I was like, "So are you going to stick with the 30,000? Because if not, I need to go back before you sign this and change it." She said, "Well, that was my original idea." I said, "Yes, ma'am. Sign right here." So she signed it, and everybody, like I said, everybody kind of giggled and was expecting him to blow up. He was sitting over there in his chair watching TV sulking. And whenever I got up to go leave, I kind of held the price sheet up. I said, "Here's the name and number of that guy who does the homeowners insurance and stuff, if you want to call it." He said, "I ain't calling her because I can't afford it now because she got life insurance." I said, "All right, well, y'all have a good one." And I just walked on out. Like a month ago, I wouldn't. When he walked up and said she's not getting it, or when there was any part of conflict there, a month ago I'd have been like, "Do I need to just come back or something?" But I literally never stopped. So yeah, all this has helped me with that. All of it.
Attaboy. That's awesome story.
Dude,
I'm tearing up right now.
That's strong.
I can't
dude.
stop.
That's strong, dude.
Yeah.
Talking to Pim. Talk about uncomfortable.
Yeah. I mean, it was so uncomfortable.
Dude, you were sweating. Dude, I know there was sweat coming down. You left that place like, "Oh, wow, I need to go take a shower."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hey, but you held it cool, and they would have never known it. And that's what this is about, man. I appreciate all you guys. Evan, Pim, Cody, thanks for hopping on. I want to thank you guys for having us on here, and hopefully it helps, man. We'll be out here crushing it this weekend. I know tons of people got tons of appointments, and I'm looking forward to it. So thank you all again. It's going to make it a big month. Later.
Thanks, Dom. See y'all.